And now is the time in our service where we move into our meditation. This time where we just become still and open and willing to listen and to connect to the God within. So now I ask you to just please gently close your eyes, or just find a spot to just allow your gaze to just settle. Just feeling each cleansing breath as it moves into your lungs and fills the cells in your body with life. And then just gently exhale. Just allowing your body to relax deeper and deeper into this moment of meditation. And I ask you now to take yourself back to our daily word. Taking yourself back to when we mention the word of oneness. Oneness, that spark of divinity that's within me and within all people. Oneness, that divine spark that binds us all together as one family, ever deepening our awareness of the God presence within. Oneness. In this moment, just simply allowing your understanding of your own divinity to just expand. Knowing and accepting that your divine nature is so much more than a spark. It is your essence. It is who you truly are. Knowing that we don't have to rely on anything outside of ourselves for love, comfort, or guidance, because all of these things are found within. They are a part of who it is that we truly are. Love, comfort, and guidance. Knowing that everything, anything we could ever need is already ours. It's already yours. It's already mine. And it is expressing as me. And as we prepare to enter into our moment of silence, I invite you to just allow yourself to just feel the divinity that you are, the divinity that each and every one of us is, that divinity that is oneness. as we move into our time of silence. And as we bring our awareness back to this present moment, we also bring with it our realization of how our oneness extends to all people, all beings who are now also our fellow divine beings. Finding ourselves freed from any illusion, any false notion of separation. Our awareness of the divine presence everywhere. The divine presence that expresses through everyone, everywhere, knowing that we are divine. That I am divine. I am divine. That they may all be one, as you, Father, are in me, and I am in you. May they also be in us. Namaste. She provided us this wonderful music, and for Pete for putting together all the wonderful music he puts together every Sunday. He's the Oz behind the curtain, he's the one that's reaching out to people to provide us with this special music and putting it all together. So thank you, Pete, and all the work you have continued to do over the course of this year. So there is one other thing I wanted to just make an announcement on. Probably a lot of you are aware by now, but one of our longtime congregants, Ken Munkris, made his transition last week. So I ask you to please hold his family in prayer, and please hold Ann Zenner in prayer as well, as they move through this new time in their lives, and hold Ann in your prayers for healing for herself as well. So, Ann, if you're watching or listening, we hold you in prayer also. So just know that is happening. All right, so today we're going to talk a little bit about a guy that you're probably kind of a little bit aware of. His name is Jesus. Now, I don't know if you've heard of him or not, but, he's a guy that, is just really kind of what started Christianity. I mean, maybe not intentionally, but, his teachings just lit a spark in somebody and off we've gone. So, now there is a story about Jesus in the Bible, and, well, I guess there's actually lots of stories about Jesus in the Bible. But right now, I'm only going to really refer to one of them, and this one's found in the book of Mark, and most specifically in Mark 12:28, where somebody asked Jesus about his commandments. Knows that Jesus has got quite a few commandments that he's given everybody, and this guy asked him, he said, well, Jesus, which is the most important? And Jesus tells him, he goes, the most important one is this. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind and with all your strength. The second is this. Love your neighbor as yourself. There is no commandment greater than these. So today I really want to take the time to focus mostly on the second half of that. The love your neighbor as yourself. Well, I think we need more love in general, more times probably than others, it seems like. I think we can all agree that loving one another is something that would do us a lot of good right now. We're moving into this new time of opportunity, aren't we? We're evolving together as a planet into this new time of opportunity. A time where we can take the namesake of unity and use it to bring true unity to the lives that we interact with on a daily basis and the lives that we touch. Now, in his book, Christian Healing, one of our Unity co-founders, Charles Fillmore, says this about love. He says, love in divine mind is the idea of universal unity. In expression, love is the power that joins and binds in divine harmony the universe and everything in it. So I've had a lot of people come to me lately and talk about how they're hurting, how they feel like they've been hurting for the last few years and how they're hurting now. And I think by now we all know that we've recently gone through a period in our country that has cracked open some wounds. And I'm not talking about just a little bit. I'm talking about cracked these wounds wide open. And we finally need to be able to cleanse these wounds, to clean them so that we can begin to allow them to heal. These past handful of years in our country have been trying for many people. Our Black Americans have, they've been forced to watch their families and friends murdered senselessly due to the color of their skin. They've been forced to watch the ever so famous rebuttal to Black Lives Matter, all lives matter, from people who I once thought just didn't get it. But now I've learned that they choose not to get it. Our LGBTQ folks that have had to witness familial support of politicians who want to keep them out there somewhere on the fringes. Want to withhold their rights to exist as a human being. To withhold something as simple as being able to use a public restroom. Or to pledge spending their lives with the person they love. Women being told that their bodies aren't their own or that their confessions of assault aren't based on fact or that they don't deserve the same pay. People being told that they're not true Christian because they don't support someone who chooses to act like a divisive bully. Now, when I really speak from experience as of late, I've been told that it's impossible that I'm a true minister. And that I'm leading people astray because I didn't support a specific politician and because unity isn't a true Christian path. That one still has me shaking my head a little bit. And I don't believe that, of course, but our words, especially when they're spoken out of that place of love, they cause hurt. They cause hurt to others. They cause hurt to us. They cause hurt to the people who said them, whether they're aware of it or not. And then those words become anything but love. And I've had people ask me lately why. Our principles here teach us that we're all inherently good. So why is it that some of us choose to not act like it? And I can't answer that question with any complete certainty. What I do know is that we make choices. And that those choices may lead us away from the good that we are. It doesn't mean that we actually stop being the good that we are. We may just start to forget that that's who we inherently are. And when we forget, we start to modify our behaviors to fit that narrative, whether it's actually true or not. I do also believe that we are here in this lifetime to help evolve this planet. To help evolve this planet and to help lift our consciousness. I believe that some people have chosen a path to where they know they're not going to be necessarily liked that much. But it doesn't mean that they're not here doing their part to help us evolve. But that's another talk for another time. What I recently been talking about lately is, if some of you have listened to my talks over the past couple of weeks, is reclaiming true Christianity. Reclaiming it for the teachings that Jesus taught. Reclaiming it to love. To love all, not just a few, but all. Because that's what matters, and I fully believe that that's why we are here right now. So many of us have felt grief over the past few years. We felt anger, we felt hurt. You may even feel fear. You may have felt fear, and you may see that fear in others as well. You may have experienced or witnessed fear of change. Fear of what I've mentioned, the perception of seeing others as somehow different from yourself. And it could be anything really. Many of us are facing those things right now, and we're starting to begin this healing process because we want to heal. Even if only on a subconscious level, we want to heal. So one of the reasons we want to heal is because we don't like the way those things have felt. We know this division must be healed because it's not who we are, and it doesn't feel good, and it doesn't feel right. It's because we're out of alignment when we feel this way. It's because we're not currently in the flow of love. So the task then becomes how to get back into the flow, especially when things can seem anything but that in the moment. So first, it's important to note that there is a distinction in types of love. Now, one is what Charles Fillmore terms human love. It's that ooey-gooey type of love you feel on Valentine's Day. And while there's nothing wrong with that kind of love, it's subject to change, isn't it? Not that you'll necessarily stop loving your Valentine, but it's likely to not always remain that ooey-gooey type. It changes and it evolves over the course of time. Charles Fillmore describes it as based on personality and is selfish, lawless, and fickle. So we must rid ourselves of the notion that divine love means that we feel a type of Valentine type of love radiating out at every single thing all the time. That we always feel this wonderful feeling toward everyone and everything. I used to think that. I used to think that I must be doing something wrong, because I didn't always feel those lovey-dovey feelings towards everyone all the time. But that's not what this type of love is that we're talking about today. It's acknowledging that you don't have to feel those feelings all the time. This is when that other type of love begins to enter the picture, divine love. This is more the kind of love Jesus often spoke of. Divine love doesn't change the way that human love does. It's selfless. It's unchangeable. It's not subject to jealousy. Charles Fillmore tells us that divine love is broad and unlimited, a universal and harmonizing power. So by establishing ourselves in the consciousness of divine love and expressing that love at all times, we're helped to fulfill the command of love your enemies. Do good to them that hate you. Bless them that curse you. Pray for them that despitefully use you. So it's not trading this human version of love in the hopes that we'll receive love in return. That's not what divine love is. It becomes more of a consciousness, more of an outpouring and a radiance of one of our very own attributes. One of our principles here is one that I mentioned earlier, that we are all inherently good. And that goes the same for love. So 1 John 4:7 in the Bible tells us, "Dear friends, let us love one another, for love comes from God. Everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God." Everyone who loves. And we all love because it's what we are. So we're all born of God in that we are all the essence of God. Therefore, we all are inherently a part of divine love. So the first task of being that divine love is within a realization. The realization that we are all this divine love. Each and every one of us right here, right now, having this human experience. I may not agree with what you're doing. I may not agree with what you are saying. But it doesn't change the fact that we are all an essence of God. Therefore, divine love. It's knowing that even when we may not want to feel it or to acknowledge it with someone else. I'm sure Jesus interacted with people that he felt at certain times, this person needs to get lost. I'm sure there were people that tested his patience a little bit, right? He was having this human experience just like we are. Remember the story of the man by the pool? The pool was said to have these healing properties in it, and there was a man that was said to be paralyzed, and all day long this man laid by the pool just watching people get in and out of it, healing themselves. He wanted healing as well, but he just laid there. And Jesus asked him, he's like, why aren't you getting into the pool? And the man goes, well, I don't have anybody to help me into the pool. Jesus looks at the guy and basically asks him, do you want to be healed or not? Rise up, take your bed, and walk. Jesus may have worded it a little differently by today's standards. He may have said, listen, dude, what's your deal? Get yourself up and walk for God's sake. So we remember that we don't put all of this pressure on ourselves to think that love has to always meet this definition of divine love, because it doesn't. It's knowing that we are all divine love, whether we feel human love toward another person or not. Another way we can practice divine love is by having faith in it, knowing that it can and does bring healing. And it does this in a couple of ways. First, there's no place for fear in divine love. I think most of us could look around right now and see what fear has accomplished. Fear of those perceived as the other has fueled so much of what we've seen in U.S. politics lately. Fear has also been the driving factor for using the Bible as a weapon, for passing legislation in this country that hurts other people. That's not coming from the divine love that Jesus spoke about. It's not coming from anyone's true nature. It's coming from that place of fear. There is no room for that kind of fear in divine love. 1 John 4:8 in the Bible says, perfect love casts out fear, because fear involves punishment, and the one who fears is not perfected in love. So another way we practice divine love through the eyes of Jesus, our master teacher, the person who eventually realized his Christ nature. Ephesians 3:17 of the Bible says, so that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith, and that you, being rooted and grounded in love. So remember those bracelets that a lot of people that identified as Christian used to wear? They had those initials on them, that WWJD. It was actually really more of a question that was meant to serve as a reminder for the people that wore them, because it stood for, what would Jesus do? And I've been truly asking myself that question a lot lately, especially when I get into discussions about what it truly means to be a Christian. Because that's really what it all goes back to, doesn't it? Jesus didn't realize this Christ's nature by calling people names. He didn't realize it by being a bully or by telling those outside of our borders to stay where you are. He didn't realize that by telling judges to really throw the book at those people whose skin color isn't white. At least not where I've found anywhere in the Bible. The Bible doesn't mention, hey, Jesus walked up to the white man laying in the pool and said, get up and take your mat, you're healed, while telling the black man that he could just continue to lie there. Jesus didn't say that. Jesus even ordained women, so that the notion of telling women to stay silent in church, that lost its muster a long time ago. So maybe it's time for a good reminder. Maybe it's time to dust off those WWJD bracelets and really ask ourselves at any given moment, what would Jesus do? Ask ourselves if we're also living within our true Christ nature. And I'll give you a hint. If it's hurting someone else, it's not. Because that's not what being a Christian is all about. That's not what divine love is all about. So today we have the choice. We actually have that choice moment by moment, second by second, as we navigate through this life. We can ask ourselves the question, am I acting true to divine love? That divine love that I inherently am? Or am I perhaps acting outside of the borders of divine love, allowing fear to run my life? Because what the world needs now is love, sweet love. And you, my friend, you can be that love. The choice is yours. Namaste. Thank you, Pete. Pete always, he's my audience here, so I know all of you out there are too. And again, I've got all of the chairs set back up, so I'm picturing all of you there right now. So we're going to make this happen. Okay, so now Martin is going to play a video. It's Steve Roberts, our board president, is going to give you the board report. So we welcome Steve Roberts by video, and then we will go on to our second special music.